A very good evening, and once again, this is News Tonight. We're here to bring you the details of what's making headlines. My name is Patricia Lukoma, and shortly I'll be joined by Jonan Opori there on sign language. First, let's look at the headlines. DPP Mike Chibita regrets delayed justice for late State Attorney John Kagezi. Constitutional summons Mukono Municipality legislator. And UN rejects draft resolution on Syria. In sports, Uganda's search for medals at the Commonwealth Games continues on Friday. Thank you so much for choosing UBC and UBC Tonight in particular. Straight away into our bulletin, President Yoweri Museveni has commissioned Restoration Gateway Hospital in Bedmont Village near Karuma Town in Kiryadongo District in the Bunyoro sub-region. The 180-bed full-service facility offers in- and outpatient medical care. The facility that was established by Dr. David T. McCall and his wife Janice employs both local and foreign medical personnel.
President Yoweri Museveni has commissioned Restoration Gateway Hospital in Bedmont Village near Karuma Town, Kiryandongo District in Bunyoro sub-region. The 180-capacity hospital that offers in- and outpatients medical care was established by Dr. David T. McCall and his wife Janice and employs both local and foreign medical personnel. It will operate in partnership with Baylor, Scott and White Healthcare, one of the top healthcare systems in the United States of America. President Museveni was accompanied by the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Museveni, commended the hospital for the services and noted that with the right support, the facility will have the capacity to handle and treat critical procedures of the heart, kidney and brain surgeries.
So therefore, I'm very happy. This is a good project. It can be developed. They are linked with very high specialization in the USA. Through the internet, somebody can be examined here, and doctors in America can see what's happening and also give their input in terms of medical advice.
He said this would save Ugandans from seeking such specialized medical care from abroad. The president called on national leaders to emulate the example set by the founders of Kiryandongo-based medical facility and influence people through good deeds as opposed to mere words.
The Christians should influence other people through deeds, not just words.
He pledged support to the Restoration Gateway healthcare system by ensuring electricity supply so that the facility stops dependence on generators as their main source of energy.
Now that I'm here, I'm going to support the project by working on the electricity.
He also said the road leading to the facility will be tarmacked. In her brief remarks, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Museveni, thanked Restoration Gateway Organization for giving hope to the orphans through the establishment of a home to live in.
We thank you especially now for these children. These children, you have given hope and you have given them a home, and the facilities you are putting here that are going to be so useful and meaningful to this whole community.
Dr. Tim McCall appreciated the cooperation extended to him by the community in Chiriandongo district.
We have over 300 employees, and many of them were former IDPs. They are no longer IDPs. They are full, blessed citizens of Uganda with all the rights and privileges that attain thereto. And they have been the backbone, the blood, sweat, and tears that have erected all of these buildings.
David Mtebire.
Well, of course, a hospital is definitely a good cause, and I think we need more hospitals within the region, but better still, in Uganda, we need more health centers. Now, talk about, giving back to community. We do have an initiative that is not far from that, where President Museveni has saluted the management of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program for supporting youths in Africa in entrepreneurship empowerment skills and in a bid to fight against household poverty. The Tony Elumelu Foundation supports about 1,000 African youth, over 300 of whom are in Uganda, who, after undergoing a 12-week training program in entrepreneurship skills and are mentored into networking opportunities. Each youth receives about $5,000 as seed capital. Now, in a meeting at State House Entebbe with Mr. Tony Elumelu, chairman of Hares Holding, an African investment company in financial services, oil and gas power, and real estate development, President Yoweri Museveni congratulated him for being among the few African business community executives to register success in the banking business. He noted that Africa is a rich continent that is endowed with untapped potential of natural resources, yet its people live in a lot of poverty. Tony Elumelu said that the foundation was grateful for the support from the government of Uganda. He said that his foundation is willing to fund more large-scale projects within the country. Now, during the meeting, there were some testimonies from some of the youth who have benefited from such projects like agriculture, piggery, poultry, and at the same time, tree planting. Now, in other news, the former president of Zanzibar, Abeid Karume, has commended President Yoweri Museveni for his innovative and exemplary leadership in the East African region. He says that Museveni's leadership skills have contributed to peace and stability of the region. We have details.
Former president of Zanzibar, Abeid Karume, in a joint media address at State House Entebbe, applauded his host, President Museveni, for his leadership roles.
Your Excellency, having said that, I once again thank you so much for your exemplary and innovative leadership.
The 70-year-old ex-Zanzibar head of state cited increased good road network, peace and stability.
In building a road network, that road network, as a matter of fact, it's an opener to the country. It's an economic infrastructure that will help people move from one place to another with their goods, services, and so on and so forth.
Karume, who is on a 4-day visit in Uganda with a delegation from the US-based Global Peace Organization, urged the leaders for common goal of peace and development.
Work for the reduction of identity-based conflicts, violence, corruption, terrorism, human rights abuse, and poverty.
The host, President Museveni, welcomed the idea of peacemaking and promotion of integrity among leaders.
Peacemaking. First, you need moral uprightness, because corrupt people can't create peace for long. You heard them talking about morally upright leadership. That means get rid of corruption.
He recognized the role Zanzibar played in the transformation of East Africa, since it was the entry point and business hub for colonialists. Global Peace Foundation Ambassador in Uganda, Milton Kambula, stressed the importance of peace and integrity in leadership.
We would like to see how to champion integrity at every level of the society. So this becomes key milestone under the GPLC, because corruption and loss of values in the country, in the entire region, could become one of the key root causes of what we see at the macro level.
President Museveni and Karume launched the Global Peace Leadership and Conference mobile application and website to promote Uganda ahead of Global Peace Conference, slated for 1st and 2nd August in Kampala. Philip Aguta reporting.
Now, the Director of Public Prosecution, Mike Chivita, has expressed regret over delayed prosecution of culprits behind the shooting of former Senior Principal State Attorney Joan Kagezi. Justice Chivita blames this on lack of forensic resources, citing the complicity exhibited by the killers. We have that in detail.
On the evening of 30th March 2015, residents of Kiwatule in Kampala were treated to the shocking death of Senior Principal State Attorney Joan Kagezi. She was shot dead as she stopped at a roadside stand to buy fresh vegetables on the way to her home in Nigeria. Police swung into action to establish the motive behind the killing and perhaps bring the culprits to book. However, 3 years later, the fruits of such an endeavor are yet to be realized.
About 50 people were arrested and about 2 files generated. But when we looked through the evidence, we realized that these could not have been the people. So this was, I think, part of what made it hard, is that the investigators followed a track which was not the right one. And every time you follow a wrong track, that means you are missing the right one.
For a Senior Principal State Attorney of Joan Kagezi's stature, why would the arrest of her killers take this long?
It seems the people who did this were well organized. They were not your ordinary criminals. That is what we are trying to get from this. In other words, they were able to plan it and also plan their escape and ensure that their tracks were covered. That's what we are suspecting.
The news of delayed prosecution and arrest of her killers comes at a time the Directorate of Public Prosecutions has organized a 3rd memorial lecture in her honor. It is to be held under the theme, Combating International and Transnational Organized Crime, Lessons Learned and Best Practices. Alison Saunders, a British attorney and the Director of Public Prosecutions for England, will deliver the keynote speech. At the time of her death, Kagezi was the lead prosecutor in the trial of the 13 suspects over the 2010 terror attacks in Kampala. The suspects that masterminded the killing of over 70 people have been since convicted and sentenced. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now, issues there with the Namboze, their Honorable Namboze. The Constitutional Court has summoned Mukono Municipality Member of Parliament Betty Namboze Ebachireke for cross-examination on Tuesday, 17th, that is April, this very 2018. Now, this followed an application by the Director of Civil Litigation, Christine Kahwa, to have Namboze cross-examined about her medical history arising from claims in her affidavit. The court earlier summoned 9 government officials, including the Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhoozi, the Secretary of Treasury, Keith Mohakanizi, and the Secretary to Cabinet, John Mitala. But the Attorney General says that 2 of the 9 summoned witnesses, Raya County Legislator Margaret Mohanga and Ginger West MP Moses Abalieko, were abroad on official duty by the time of the summons and have consequently not been served.
to apply for validation the affidavits of the respondents that were...
Just a moment, question. These from numbers, I forgot the other name. But it's here by summons was issued for her to appear in court on Tuesday the 17th for cross-examination of her affidavit. You want her to come with her medical history, or medical...
by the Deputy Attorney General Mwesigwa Rukutana have asked the Constitutional Court to dismiss petitions against the Age Limit Amended Act with costs. According to the respondents' legal team, the petitions are unfounded, frivolous, and devoid of any merit whatsoever.
The respondents have opened their submissions to the Constitutional Court with an outline of points justifying the legality of the 2017 Constitutional Amendment.
But the petitions are unfounded, frivolous, and vexatious, and devoid of any merit whatsoever.
According to the Deputy Attorney General Mwesigwa Rukutana, Parliament acted within the law and followed all set procedure in amending the Constitution.
And therefore, this is our submission that the Constitution was duly amended by the provisions of the Constitutional Amendment Act.
The respondents also contended that the actions of the President in assenting to the Act were lawful. They have consequently asked the court to dismiss the consolidated petitions with costs.
We shall be applying that each and every one of them be dismissed with costs to the respondents.
But the judges have asked respondents where Parliament derived the powers to extend its current term of office and to restore presidential term limits.
What happened is extension of existing term, and there is nothing in the supposed deed that says that those 5 years can be extended, but they can be changed, but cannot be extended.
Certain provisions that were mentioned here were amended, and they were amended correctly. And then Parliament had to deal with the transitional period, and they borrowed from the amendment in 2005. The only difference is that that was shortening. And this one is a transitional period.
The petitioners are challenging the legality of the 2017 Constitutional Amendment to remove the lower and upper age limit cap and to increase the term of members of Parliament from 5 to 7 years. They claim Parliament did not follow the rules of procedure and indirectly abrogated the entire Constitution by the said amendment. The respondents' plea has been dismissal of the 5 consolidated petitions with the costs, and as court resumes the hearing on Tuesday next week, both sides will be cross-examining witnesses in a bid to secure victory. Samuel Garandi, UBC News.
Now, while we take a short break, of course, when we do return, we do have issues there with the Ministry of Education about a salary disparity. But that and more stories will be coming your way after this short break. I'm glad that you're still tuned on to the only channel that tends to entertain and educate you, dear viewer. Now, the story about salary disparities. The Ministry of Education is at a crossroads over increasing salary disparity between science and arts teachers. Salaries of science teachers are on continuous increase, with the least paid scheduled to earn 2 million Ugandan shillings, an amount that is deemed 3 times higher than that of their arts counterparts. We do have details in this story.
Thursday, a delegation from the Ministry of Education and Sports, led by the Line Minister and First Lady, Janet Museveni, appeared before the Supervising Committee of Parliament, in part to defend the 2.6 trillion budget proposal for financial 2018-19. Shortly, The meeting had drifted into matters of national concern, with the widening salary disparity between science and arts teachers as the main contention. The chairperson of the Committee on Education and Sports, Connie Galwango, reiterated on the subject which was first raised on the floor of Parliament.
We really find it irregular to see that a head teacher is going to supervise somebody who is earning a bigger salary, and even then the teachers are going to be divided. Others will say we cannot teach when we are getting 630, yet others are getting 2+ three times the salary of an arts teacher is what a science teacher is supposed to get.
A better part of the committee's session was spent deliberating on the subject government deliberately implemented with the view of retaining the highly pursued science teachers going for better pay.
An English teacher is considered the other side, and yet the science teacher is supposed to teach in English. So if this English teacher relaxes, what happens? What kind of science will people understand?
But for us as a committee and as Ugandans, we are concerned because our common sense just tells us that there is bound to be a problem, because we live in the same communities and people are already talking, grumbling.
I am telling you, I'm a teacher by profession. I cannot go to class to teach my history and earn 630, and another one goes to teach chemistry the same hours and gets 2 million.
Even as troublesome the disparity is insinuated to be, the ministry urges for understanding of stakeholders, emphasizing on plans of harmonizing the salaries in phases.
The Ministry of Education and the Committee of Education must take the pain to understand where this decision is coming from. We are the ones who really would like to see all our teachers have the same salary at the equal level. But since we also know that our budget cannot allow that to happen at a go, what should happen? What is the best way to deal with this?
Would-be good intent has instead placed the ministry between a rock and a hard place because the resources needed by the sector are not available. As it stands, the National Resistance Movement Manifesto for 2016-21 indicates that each parish has to have a primary school, a secondary school at the sub-county level, and a technical institute at each constituency. However, this ambitious plan is far from being achieved. This is further exacerbated by the staffing gap for institutions of higher learning at 50%, whereas Bustema and Moon universities are 23%. Onyango Jackson, UBC TV.
Now police is searching for a 14-year-old girl, Najuma Carol, who disappeared under unknown circumstances from Busega and Natete February this very year. Police spokesperson Kampala Metropolitan Luke Owesigire has cautioned parents to protect their children against suspicious elements.
14-year-old Najuma Karo, resident of Mukono, allegedly disappeared in unknown circumstances from Busega. Relatives say she had gone to visit her sister, Sylvia Namakula. We found them at Natete police station, where they had gone to check on how far police had gone with finding their sister. According to Namakula Sylvia, one of her sisters, Najuma was in her primary 7 vacation and had gone for holiday. Another sister, Naluima Shakira, explains that after reporting to police in mid-February this year, they also started searching. Wherever you are, if you're hearing, please return home. We are all worried. We have moved house to house. In Namaiba village, Najuma's parents are worried over missing Najuma Karo.
I had spent a lot of money and had just found a school, and coming back from her sister's place, she got.
I have pressure in my heart. I failed to take medication. Things are not moving. I do not know if they took her to work or was deceived by boys. Police spokesperson Kampala Metropolitan Luke Oweyesijire admits to have received Najuma Karo's file.
Just sending a 14-year-old on a taxi alone and without any form of communication to try and trace her where she has reached or something. So they showed on this young girl. But also try to tell them that as police were doing as much as possible to try and figure out where she could be. We've really now taken up the matter very seriously.
Police investigations on kidnaps have revealed that culprits usually ask for big sums of money from relatives of people they kidnap, and this puts the low-income earners on tension.
Now, may the good Lord protect Najuma Karo there, and may he help the parents find this child. Right now, we're going to go for a short break, but do not go away. We still have sports for you. We still have international and business, which is up next. Welcome to our business desk. Now, in business, Tony Elumelu has emphasized on the need for African governments to create conducive environment for youthful entrepreneurs to flourish. According to Elumelu, the continent has a huge resource that is yet to be tapped into due to poor planning and misplaced priorities. The billionaire philanthropist made these remarks at Makerere University's Funders Lecture, which was on the topic of Afri-capitalism and entrepreneurship. Dennis Sigar reports.
Young entrepreneurs must embrace new technologies in order to enhance their enterprises. Compared to the 20th, the 21st century entrepreneurs have to be innovative and tech-savvy for them to grow their businesses. Tony Elumelu is a Nigerian business mogul and proprietor of United Bank of Africa.
It is important that in everything we do, a critical success factor in anything is understanding your trade, what you want to do. If you want to be a musician, you need to know how to become a successful musician. If you want to be a trader, how to become a successful trader. Going through a university, for instance, helps to sharpen maybe our brain and how we think. But there are many, in fact, I think there are more successful billionaires in the world today who didn't have university education.
Elumelu, a philanthropist and one of the wealthiest African entrepreneurs, was the guest speaker at Makerere University's Founders Public Lecture on the topic Afri-capitalism and entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurs don't have to start big. Little ideas, little money to prove your ideas. And if you prove your ideas are good, a lot of capital will be attracted automatically to support your business.
The public, especially students pursuing business-related courses at various tertiary institutions, were hungry for knowledge on how to start and effectively manage an enterprise.
You have successfully built UBA, and it's a global bank. What have been the 5 key ingredients for successful scalability and ensuring that you are investor ready?
What's the future of the foundation in terms of expansion across the continent, seeing that Africa is rising and there are so many hungry entrepreneurs?
At a time when most African countries are grappling with a bulging educated but jobless youth population, governments have no choice but to create a conducive environment for youthful entrepreneurs to flourish.
So anything that will help us to create more successful business people in the 21st century and beyond, I support.
The Nigerian business magnate and philanthropist founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program in 2015. The 10-year, $100 million commitment seeks to identify and empower 10,000 African entrepreneurs, create 1 million jobs, and add over $10 billion revenues for African economies. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Dream come true.
A little more into health business. Scientific studies have shown that low-calorie but nutrient-rich foods, mostly vegetables, help the human body stay fit and free from diseases like diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular diseases that are mostly caused by what a person eats. Our reporter Halima Wesibade sheds some light on this story.
Vegetable nutrition has widely drawn the attention of health-conscious people as well as food scientists for their proven health benefits. Majority of day-to-day used vegetables are very low in calories and saturated fats, whose calorie is less than 20 per 100 grams. These include cabbages, eggplant, and spinach, which help the human body stay fit and free from diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and various cancers. We talked to several traders at Nakasero Market who explained to us the status of vegetables on the market.
That carrot, some people, they can juice it, they can intermix it with the other fruits like passion fruits. They can use it as the vegs. And so others, they take them for business. Meanwhile, they can earn money from that carrot.
Amanya gange nzina chance Florence, kola mu restaurant. Envendula zirimu ekiriisa. Bakasitoma bw'omuwa emmere agamba nteerako envendula zirimu ekiriisa.
It is therefore advisable for one to have at least 5 to 7 vegetable servings a day. Reporting for UBC TV, I'm Weswade Halima Yassin.
Now, government has encouraged both foreign and local investors to transport their produce to various areas within the country. However, the investors want VAT taxes lifted on wheat flour factories imported from other countries to enable investors grow their business.
Government support to local and foreign investors has boosted their factories and farms that transport produce to the market. The proprietor Maganjo Grain Millers Benon Luja says that government support has enabled improve in power supply despite the tariffs. Luja made the remarks before Nansana Municipality Member of Parliament Robert Kasule Sebunya, who visited his factory at Maganjo.
The business environment in Uganda is conducive because there is security 24 hours and there is access to foreign currency, there is access to government loans. The only problem is the VAT on wheat.
Sebunya appealed to Ugandans to always give priority to local investors other than the foreign ones.
If we bought Maganjo products, we will make him more stronger, we will make him more financially viable to even expand his industries. And that gives employment, gives taxes. So I'm telling Ugandans, please, first anchor with our own industries. Buy Uganda and make sure you support them in any way, because at least that is the benchmark of our country.
In the last 30 years, since Maganjo Grain Millers was established, it has employed over 1,000 youth. Report compiled by Salongo Fred Kasibante for UBC News.
Now, still in business, government is promoting local innovations in the ICT sector to support people engaged in local content through the National Innovation ICT Support Program by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. Over 12 groups of innovators have received direct financial support worth 2.5 billion Ugandan shillings to boost their work.
In a country like Uganda, where unemployment and poverty affect prosperity, any semblance of innovation calls for support. Government of Uganda is supporting innovations in the country. In a speech read for him by Second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs, Alhaji Chirunda Chiveidinda, Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda has emphasized government's commitment to support innovations and create employment.
Saying that a very high speed with the new technologies taking the center stage. Both the government and the private sector have no choice other than to move in that direction and adopt the use of ICTs to modernize service delivery.
Government has released direct financial support of over 2 billion shillings to 12 groups of innovators through the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance under the National ICT Innovation Support Program, NISP.
We are innovating our own solutions. We shall get there. We are tired of being importers of foreign content, foreign apps.
With ICT, you can turn around things. You can create jobs. You can stop our young people who are graduates now working in toilets in the Arab world.
The 12 groups emerged out of over 300 that submitted innovation proposals. The innovations submitted were designed to be applied in different sectors such as health, agriculture and education, and some are ready for use. Michael Jordan Lukoma, UBC News.
And looking at sanitation within Africa, failure to improve the toilet hygiene at family level and schools has been cited as the major cause of disease outbreaks like the typhoid, diarrhea, and other infections. According to the medical experts from Sanitation for Africa, many Ugandans are still ignorant about proper toilet maintenance and condition that has left many battling with diseases caused by poor latrine hygiene.
Sanitation for Africa in Uganda is implementing a 3-year pilot sanitation improvement to over 4,500 families in Butambala and Wakiso districts. The strategy is to promote sustainable sanitation and hygiene, behavior change in schools and communities. Clean Habitat Uganda, under the Sanitation for Africa project, and the Minister of Health are in partnership to improve pit latrines by giving out free pit sanitizer tablets to help create a healthy environment.
It kills the house flies, it kills the maggots. So at the end of the day, there's no biological decomposition of feces in the toilets, and instead it's chemical decomposition. And once there's chemical decomposition, then there's no smell. There's no smell in the toilets, and we feel that those toilets can be pleasant to use anytime.
While handing over toilet stand worth 15 million shillings to Abatek Primary School in Seguko village, experts said majority of the toilets in Uganda do not meet the required minimum standards, as recommended by Minister of Health Sanitation Program.
Ate endwadde bannange eziva mu kaabuyonjo zijja bwe zikwata ebitundu ebyo banne tuggwako emirembe. Omukyalo okola emirimu gyo oli mu kweyagula weeyaguddeeyo yonna okutte mu byokulya, okutte ku byokulya, abaana obasiize, abagenyi obasiize, kati ne kabeera kavuyo kennyini. Bannange muyonje toilets nga mukozesa ebikerenda ebyo ebisuulibwa mu toilets.
Minister of Health study on sanitation practices shows that 79% of the communities in the country use pit latrines, and only 1 out of school-going 70 pupils wash hands after using the latrines.
They are happy about the absence of the smell. They are happy about the absence of the flies, and being that they are aware that they are contributing to the general health of the whole village.
Meanwhile, women and teachers must protect children from catching such diseases, since they spend most of the time with them.
Now let's cross borders over to the US, where Donald Trump talked to social media to taunt Russia, warning them to get ready for US missiles to be fired at pro-Assad targets in Syria. Trump bypassed normal diplomatic channels using Twitter to tell Vladimir Putin that he should not have teamed up with Bashar al-Assad. Moscow responded that it wasn't backing down from White House's taunts.
Rival U.S. and Russian resolutions to determine responsibility for the chemical attack in Syria suffered defeats recently at the UN Security Council. Moscow accused Washington of pushing for a vote as a pretext for possible use of force against Syria.
If you took the decision to carry out an illegal military adventure, and we do hope that you will come to your senses, well, then you will have to bear the responsibility for it yourselves. What you are trying to do is to plant this resolution into the Security Council, something that has been on the shelf for a long time, in order to find a pretext.
While the U.S. in turn blamed Russia for harboring Bashar al-Assad.
And when the people of Duma, along with the rest of the international community, looked to this council to act, one country stood in the way. History will record that. History will record that on this day, Russia chose protecting a monster over the lives of the Syrian people.
12 of the 15 members of the Security Council voted in favor of the U.S. draft resolution. Russia vetoed it, while the Russia resolution failed to pass, as it received 6 votes in favor and 7 against, with 2 abstentions. A resolution at the Security Council needs 9 votes in favor and no vetoes by Russia, China, France, Britain, or the United States to pass. A veto can only be cast if a draft wins at least 9 votes. Apart from those 2 draft resolutions, Russia also asked the Council to vote on a second draft resolution. It aimed to support sending investigators from the global chemical weapons watchdog to the site of the deadly attack. But that failed to pass the threshold of 9. China on Wednesday said it was regretful and urged action.
We call on all relevant sides to exercise restraint and keep calm, and refrain from doing anything that could escalate tension. What is pressing now is to launch an all-around, objective and fair investigation into the suspected chemical attack and get to the bottom of the incident.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres also voiced concern. He stressed the Security Council's 5 permanent members on the need to avoid the situation spiraling out of control. Natasha Hussain, CGTN.
First, in our sports roundup, Uganda netball team has finished a convincing 6th position at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. Uganda was defeated by South Africa Thursday morning, and then meanwhile, after being redemated under the International Tennis Federation, Uganda is to host 4 professional tournaments. Those stories and more are coming right now in our sports roundup.
Finally, Uganda Tennis Federation is organizing international circuits after a 7-year hiatus. Uganda was readmitted to the International Tennis Federation family upon clearing all the debts it owed the federation. For professional tennis circuits are lined up between April 27th and May at the Lugogo tennis courts. And in the Commonwealth Games, Uganda netball team has finished 6th at the ongoing games in Gold Coast, Australia. Uganda played South Africa to determine who finishes 5th, only to fall 53-42. The She Cranes had earlier on defeated Scotland but failed to make past the group stages. Team captain Peace Proskovia held the fight put up by the team despite the loss. Uganda has so far won 2 gold medals and 3 bronze medals at the games. Meanwhile, Uganda's hopes to win gold at the games still stands, with Joshua Cheptegei still to compete in that 10,000-meter race. Uganda still has a chance to impress in rugby, boxing, badminton and athletics. Ngabo Emon, reporting for UBC TV.
Now, many sportsmen have worked hard on pitch, lifting the flag high for the country as well as passion for the game. However, some athletes have achieved less to the extent that when one is not active due to health issues, the savings they have is not enough to cater for their bills, with at least one being Ausi Kaya, who is right now battling with lung infectious diseases.
Ausi Kaya's battle for survival still lives on, but in dire need of another round of public sympathy through soliciting of funds to enable surgery on his lungs. The ailing former national team player, whose club football roots are traced at Proline, Police and KCCFC, needs close to 25 million shillings. Money raised from initial fundraising drives has been used for medical consultations and stopgap treatment. So now, To enable another round of soliciting for funds, Sports Fund magazine has launched a book whose benefits will aid the cause. The book that features valuable sports articles profiling both local and international stars is already on the market at 5,000 shillings.
So it's one of our social responsibilities and obligations to extend our compassionate act towards our brother Auskaya. The tremendous effort made towards the development of this game.
Ausikaya lauds the public that has helped that further, but like Oliver Twists, asks for more. Doctors need another fortnight to release conclusive details of the type of surgery required by Kaya, who has been bedridden for more than 18 months now. For UBC, Helen Barbara, Jizamba.
Thank you, Helen. There, we're moving on to pool, where Skin Samona has continued its impressive start to the 2018 National Senior Pool League with a commendable 11-9 victory over scrap buyers at Pacify Hotel, Wakaliga. In the women's category, Skin Samona edged the visitors an 8-4.
Amos Ndiagomanawe has started the 2018 Senior National Pool League on form, winning 6 of his 8 games thus far. In the latest fixture, when his Skin Samona side dated scrap buyers, Ndiagomanawe was indeed at his prolific best, securing 4 wins out of 4 games. His performance played a key role as his team edged resilient scrap buyers 11-9. It was a game full of drama which brought the best out of both teams. Skin Samona led 7-3 at halftime, but watched helplessly as scrap buyers in the blue kit crept into the game that was at some stage 8-all. It's at this moment that players like Ndiagomanawe and his captain Fahad Sewankambo rose to the occasion to secure the victory. Pool Association of Uganda published Dennis Ngobi believes that this year's league will provide the perfect thrills and spills.
This shows that the level of competition was high. Anchors wanted so much to get at least that bonus point for Daluza, but it couldn't, which made scrap buyers to top the league with 4 points.
In the women's category, Michelle Nandaula, Jacinta Kajubi and Roda Nakawesi survived an early scare, but later ensured Skin Samona secure an 8-4 victory. League action continues this weekend with several games including Capital Night hosting Elite Klein, Ronnie's Play Sinkers, while Ibanda Warriors host Masindi Red Shooters. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
Well, that's all we had time for. Thank you so much for choosing UBC TV and News Tonight in particular. Of course, just to caution you there, you should go onto the website of Tony Elumelo Foundation to find out, because any Ugandan can definitely benefit from the Elumelo Foundation that supports about 1,000 African youths in entrepreneurship. My name is Patricia Lukoma, and on sign language, I was humbly joined by Jonan Opore. Coming up next is the Commonwealth Games as they continue. Stay with us.